Well, morena, everybody. Good morning. Lovely to see you all this morning for our October council meeting. Lovely to have a full pack today. It's nice to see everybody. A few travellers returned from overseas, and lovely to see you in person, Roger, rather than online. So it's lovely to see you all here. Before we kick off into our agenda, could I ask you, Dale Marie, to open us with a karakia?
Let me just get back here. Tēnā tātou I te whare, tūtaua mai I runga, tūtaua mai I raro, tūtaua mai I roto, tūtaua mai I waho. Kia tau ai te Māori tū, te Māori ora, ki te katoa, haumie, huie, tae kie. It would be remiss of me not to recognise yesterday, te whakapūtanga, 189 years ago, te whakapūtanga, the Declaration of Independence was signed. And then 5 years later after that was the treaty, and both those documents reaffirmed the pre-existing rights of Māori. So a little bit of a reminder for us today. Tēnā tātou. I te whare, welcome everybody back to the whare. Tēnā tātou.
Kia ora, thank you. Thank you, Dale Marie. Thank you for that. Listen, just looking at our agendas there, obviously opening comments from me. It's a pretty full day today, so I won't bore you with my dulcet tones, but I just wanted to acknowledge the huge amount of work that not only the elected members are doing, but staff in respect of LTP compilation. It's the gift that keeps on giving, right? But just want to acknowledge all the hard work that everybody is displaying in that space, and also Ahawaki at the same time. We're on the road again, and I see we've got all Hopō tonight. Just want to acknowledge the time and commitment that people are channeling that way to that body of work, and look forward to seeing you all at the last couple. If you've signed up, it's good to reconnect with our communities, particularly the small little rural ones. It's kind of always my favourite, being a country girl myself. So look, without any further ado, let's rip into our agenda. I have no apologies because, as I say, we're a full deck today, which is great. Disclosure of any members' interests. Are there any? Liz?
Yes, I'm just going to disclose the karapiro item,
Thank you.
reserve management plan. I'll leave the room for that. Thanks.
Cool bananas. Any other disclosures for noting? No? We can have that noted clear. No, we're all good. Excellent. Late items, I'm not aware of there being any. Fantastic. And then just a confirmation of the order of meeting. I'm comfortable with the order as it appears in our agenda there, so I'm happy to move from the chair. Can I have a seconder? Mike Pettit will second that for me. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Great. Moving on then to the confirmation of the minutes from our previous meeting in September. They've been distributed and read, presumably. I'm happy with them. So can I have somebody to move that they're true and correct? Claire and Dale Marie will second that. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. Excellent. Good stuff, team. Next item is documents signed under seal. Pass that over to you, Steph, is that right? Or Ken? It's governance.
Just speak to the thing that, yeah.
Morena tātou. Lovely to be here and reiterate the Mayor's words and Councillor Morgan's words of welcome to see everyone in the chamber, and also acknowledging Labour Day yesterday, which was the welcome arrival of that foreign thing called an 8-hour day, which I'm sure has come and gone because I'm not sure anybody works an 8-hour day anymore. But anyway, acknowledging better labour conditions for people around the world. And speaking of that, so just 4 people here, 4 roles through which the common seal of the Waipa District Council has been issued. And I don't think there'll be any surprises there, and a deed of lease for 2 storage units. So we'll take that as read and seek your approval.
Cool. Excellent. No discussion generally on that one. Dale Marie, happy to move. Lou will second. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. Good stuff. So the first sort of really significant item or substantive item on our agenda then appearing on page 21 is the adoption of our annual report for the year end 30 June 24. Yolanda?
Yeah, so look, I'll kick this one off. We'll do a bit of a tag team. But look, essentially what this item is about is the adoption of our annual report for the year ended 30 June 24. So so there's a lot of happy people in the organisation that we have got to this point. Essentially this meeting is receiving a recommendation from the Audit and Risk Committee from Friday. So it is a verbal recommendation that the council adopts the annual report. There were some changes identified coming out of Friday. So the recommendation from Audit and Risk Committee does have some variations from the annual report papers in your agenda pack, but we'll cover those when we get to them. But look, we just thought we'd start off with just a bit of a tag team approach in terms of the annual report and picking out some of the highlights. So I will start that off and just remind you all that the annual report is a really important statutory and accountability document. It is much more than just a set of financial statements. It's a formal report back against the annual plan that was set for the year. In saying that, however, I will talk to the financials principally before I hand on to my colleagues. So in regard to the financials at the really high level, total revenue of $170 million, a payroll of $32 million, depreciation and amortization of $39 million. That obviously reflects the size and value of our infrastructure networks that we own and we maintain and manage. An operating surplus of $35.5 million was achieved. But I do know that there are two non-cash items, vested assets and discovered assets, and together those two items equate to very, very close to that surplus. That surplus figure of $35.5 million. So you could say that our surplus that has been achieved was a non-cash surplus in that regard. Total assets, this is where the numbers get really big, $2.7 billion. Okay, so primarily obviously infrastructure networks and land and buildings make up that, but more particularly the infrastructure networks. Our CapEx spend for the year was $125 million. And our debt is $326 million. That is up $100 million from the $226 million at 30 June 2023. Okay, so look, we're a large organisation, and those are large numbers, obviously. Just want to refer to our financial prudence benchmarks. So we had a very good level of compliance against our financial prudence benchmarks. There are two that were not met this year. So the first of those was the balanced budget benchmark, and the second of those was the operations control benchmark. So the first one, the balanced budget one, was largely due to the utilisation of reserves in place of rates. Okay, so we had reserves that were built up. So we utilise those instead of setting rates, and that has had an impact on that measure. The second one, which is the operations control benchmark, that is, and there has been non-compliance there for the 5 years that you see in the annual report disclosure. And what that is about is development contributions lagging behind budgets, or very largely related to that. The finance team have done some work on that. If the development contributions had been at the level budgeted, we would have had achievement of that benchmark. As we go forward into the LTP, as you people around the table and our community is very well aware, management of debt will be a big factor. I did note just earlier that debt increased by $100 million in the past year. It is forecast to increase by around the same amount in the coming year. If you look at those financial prudence measures, you will see there's a noticeable change in debt affordability and debt servicing benchmarks. So we are monitoring debt headroom closely, and a key theme in our financial strategy will relate to the management of debt and the achievement of financial sustainability. George, over to you.
Great, thanks, Ken. So I'll just give a bit of an overview, I guess, of our non-financial performance. So overall, you can see within the annual report, we've got some good results and we've made some really good progress. On page 30 of the report, you'll see the highlights against our organisational KPIs. So roughly we achieved about 85% of them. They were on track at year end, so which really illustrated strong progress against council's priorities. A highlight, I guess, for us was the resident perception results. So council received higher satisfaction scores across most of the metrics for the year, and that was an upturn from some decline over the previous years. While it didn't fully offset those declines, it was a really good positive indication that residents are increasingly trusting council and appreciating the efforts that are being put in. And just looking forward, council already has several pieces of work underway and planned, which will continue to positively impact performance. So referencing the Ahuaki, which is obviously out for consultation at the moment, and the priority areas of council's anchor institution framework, which we're seeking to implement over the next 12 to 24 months. In terms of performance against our levels of service, so 91% of them were either achieved or within 5% of achieving target, and that was up from 74% last year, so that was quite a significant increase. We strive to take a continuous improvement approach in everything that we do, and you'll see that commentary from page 192 onwards in terms of our people, our risk management processes, etc. And that just illustrates how this continual striving to improve. Probably just from a risk management perspective, retouching back on what Ken said in regards to council's debt levels and the fact that we're in a challenging environment. Over the next year, council's risk profile is quite high, and that's signalling that we need to keep a really good, tight look at our key risk indicators and continuing to really strongly monitor against our performance framework. So that's really the key message, I guess, from the non-financial point of view.
Thanks, George. I just also want to acknowledge Renee and Kay online from Audit New Zealand. I realised that you were hiding in the background and we can now see you, so nice to see you. Good morning. Any further comment or presentation from Lisa? Excellent.
Thank you. Well, there's no one who quite loves the annual report like a comms person. And there's a few reasons for that. Number one is, for yourself, Mayor Susan, and elected members, it actually goes to show the sheer quantum of your decision making over the last 12 months and the positive impact that that's having on the community. Internally, it's an opportunity for our teams to celebrate all that they have achieved and work on any opportunities to improve. And externally, it's an opportunity for our community to reflect on the value they get for their rate-paying dollar and the way we are helping shape their lives. Communicating that value message has certainly been a challenge for the sector for a very long time, and with research showing that over the last 20 years people's attention spans have dropped from 2.5 minutes to 45 seconds. While the legislation has an annual report and a summary document, they're actually quite unwieldy for people. So the team and I have been working on some new and innovative ways to really bring those gold nuggets to life infographically and visually to help people understand exactly what we've been doing for them. So a lot of work to do. The documents won't be publicly available until they've been through the design phase, of course, but then we'll roll out a bit of a comms suite around those key messages that we've distilled from the annual report.
Yeah, so Mayor Susan, I just wonder if we now go to Yolanda, because as I mentioned at the start, there were 3 or 4 changes that were talked about and agreed by the Audit and Risk Committee on Friday. Yolanda, I believe we've got those available on the screen, and Yolanda will speak to those.
Thank you, through the chair. So the first change is on page 24 of the annual report. So it's page 48 of your agenda. It's for the rates increase affordability graph. So when we did the annual plan, we had cited the rates increase on average at 6%. However, when you calculate the actual performance against the previous year, that amounts to 6.3%. At the time when we do our annual plan, we include an estimate of our volumetric charges, where our actual would include the final volumetric charges, rates, penalties, as well as some growth. So it's still within benchmark, but it's not 6% as the draft that you have shows. Then page 51 or 75 of the agenda, in note 6, where we have a breakdown of other expenses, the amount to Audit New Zealand that you see is 32,000 for the overrun. It should be 23,000, with then our other expenses being the balancing figure with that change. Then on page 84 or page 108 of the agenda, note 24, the equity note is different from the statement of changes in equity. The statement of changes in equity is correct. We just did not have the correct note in the version that was circulated. So we've just replaced that with a correct note. Then on the summary annual report, on page 4 of that summary annual report, or 214 of the agenda, the last paragraph on that page refers to an emphasis of matter relating to 3 water disclosure. The draft audit opinion, however, no longer includes an emphasis of matter paragraph. So we've removed the reference to an emphasis of matter paragraph. So we have an unmodified audit opinion for this year. That's it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. So can I just have the amended recommendation appear on the screen for us? And then I'll open the floor for discussions, unless, did Renee or Kay have anything they wanted to add before I open the floor?
Nothing at this time to add.
Excellent, thank you. So there's the amended resolution there, which we'll go through in a bit more detail, obviously, after discussion. But I'll open the floor for comments and questions of staff in respect to this matter. Oh. Mike Pettit.
Oh, thanks through the chair. Just a couple of questions I've got. One's around the survey. It's just been a while since I've looked at it, so not so much around the figures, though it would be quite good. I guess it's an annual thing, so we're comparing this last year with this year. But are there other documents we see that compares over the last 5 years? I'm sure there is. They get put in front of us.
Yeah,
What
so
page are
and
you on? Could you just let us know what page you're referring
Oh,
to?
so
just
it's page 43.
Thank you.
Page 43.
yeah, so within the actual annual report itself that you would have received of the resident perception annual report, it's got all results since the report started, since the surveying started. So you'll be able to have a really good view of trends over time.
Cool, thanks for that. And my next one, I don't know what page, but it's around that depreciation figure of total assets of 2.7 billion. And I remember Gary Dyett, previous CEO, talking about depreciation has gone up a lot on certain items. And he talked about roading and that sort of thing. But have we looked at our assets in terms of anything we can offload and maybe lease back, rather than have to pay depreciation on everything? Is there any financial advantage to not owning everything?
So look, in that regard, no, we haven't done a lot of work in that space. I think the most likely space that we'd do that is perhaps buildings, which is a small part of the equation. I mean, I can't, councillor, I can't imagine that we would sell and lease back our infrastructure networks, and of course it's our infrastructure networks with those really big dollars are.
No.
Yeah, the roading and the waters and the wastewater,
Yep.
etc.
No, thanks, Vicky.
At a higher level though, Mike, it's that's probably a discussion and not necessarily in respect of critical infrastructure, but that notion of should we have to own everything might be something that's a discussion that we have down the track in terms of the LTP. And it's an obvious place to go, noting, I think Liz mentioned in a workshop some time ago that, have we really canvassed all opportunities in terms of partnership for getting things out of the ground or owning assets into the future. So definitely an area we need to turn our mind to.
Yeah,
Appropriate
and look,
time.
thanks for that. And look, I know there's only so much money in the greater pot of the country, but examples like how we run our pools and the town hall in Cambridge, etc., just give, I guess, opportunities to find money outside the organisation. So
Absolutely. We're on the same page in that space. Right. Any other questions? Monty?
I've just got a question for Renee, seeing you've dialed in. The technical term, is it an unmodified audit opinion or something? Just wondering if you could translate that into normal language so that people understand your opinion of this annual report.
Yes, thank you for that. Unmodified audit report means that there's nothing to report from our side that's noting that our report is free of material misstatements and that we're signing it off as a clean slate for this year. That is both for the annual report and the summary report.
Thanks for that, Renee. Any other questions of staff or Renee or Kay while we have them online in respect of this report? Again, Marcus.
I've just got a small one on page 33 of the agenda. The ethnicity column, it doesn't really make much sense with those smaller numbers. I'm just wondering, can that be reworded or cleaned up?
Yeah, we can look at the formatting of that, yeah.
I think we've questioned that other years too. I vaguely recall us always realising like it doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, it just doesn't read well.
Yeah. Monty.
One more for Renee, and I might be getting off track here. The management report, did that turn up any things we need to know about? Or was this nothing this time around?
So the management report will follow in a week or two. We usually finalize the audit opinion first and then go to the report. So there is a couple of findings in that report, but we do that report goes out as a draft format to management first, so that they've got the opportunity to respond in terms of the findings that we do have. We have been discussing that throughout the audit, so they are aware of the things that we've picked up. And then the final report to council you will see in a final format in a couple of weeks' time. There's nothing concerning in terms of signing the audit opinion today.
Thanks, Renee. That's what I wanted to hear.
Great. Any other questions of these fine people before we turn our mind to the amended resolution? No? Okay. So looking at the amended resolution, obviously to receive NADA's report, oh gosh, it's moving as I'm reading. And obviously on recommendation of the Audit and Risk Committee, we consider the draft annual report and with the inclusion of the unmodified opinion to be received from Audit New Zealand, we adopt and approve publication of the Waipa District Council annual report, subject to the following changes. So then we have the table that relates to the earlier document that was shown at the beginning of this piece. I won't bother reading all of that because we've just been through it all with those changes. And then similarly, the summary report, confirmation to approve. And again, a couple of changes appearing in that box there. Good, there's that typo change. It said opinion spelt wrong in the last one, so that's right. Cool, excellent. And then delegating, obviously, we can just scroll down a little again, whoever's in control of that one. The Deputy C authority making any minor editorial changes. this is obviously on recommendation, the Audit and Risk Committee delegates to the Mayor and Chief Executive signing of the representation letters required by Audit New Zealand, which also appear in the pack there. Roger.
Yes, I'd just like to say that we had a really good discussion at Audit and Risk last week on these two documents, and it was really good. So I'd like to move this.
Wonderful. Thank you for that.
recommendation.
Thank you, Roger. Monty?
Yeah, and I'd like to second it.
Yeah.
And just at the same time to acknowledge the finance team. We've put them under a lot of pressure recently. Getting this annual report through, getting a clean audit, and at the same time as doing an annual plan. And I know we're putting a lot of pressure on them. I'm one of the ones doing it. So thank you. Well done. Really appreciate it.
Oh, look, thank you, Roger and Monty. Yeah, well said. Also great. Just following on from what Lisa said, it's kind of neat to look back and see what we've done. Sometimes we get so stuck in the minutiae of just one foot in front of the other. It's quite nice to sort of pull back and actually collate it all together and go, oh, actually, there's some really cool stuff happening, notwithstanding the challenges that we're facing. So thank you for that. I've got Roger moving, Monty seconding. There being no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much, team. I saw that big sigh, Yolanda.
Thanks. Thanks to the Audit New Zealand. for the
Yeah,
long
and
lines
yes, thank you,
yeah,
Kay and Renee. Nice to
Yeah.
see you both.
Yeah.
Have
thank
a
you
great
very
day.
much.
Great stuff. Well, that was a real achievement. I'm pleased we've got through that body of work. I need to get over the hill and you discover there's another hill bigger, right? It's a little bit like that at the moment. Yeah, absolutely. So on to the next item, which is the Karapiro Lake Domain Reserve Management Plan Review and Master Plan. Thank you, Liz. And this is one of yours, David. Nice to see you, David. Good morning.
Yeah, tēnā koutou. This morning with me online is Anna McCree, who's from Exist Consulting, and she's a seasoned parks planner and with a vast experience in this role. Today I present to you the report to outline the rationale for reviewing the Karapiro Lake Domain Reserve Management Plan 2011 and prepare a master plan, the proposed approach to the project, including timeframes and proposed project scope, seek endorsement of the proposed scope and approach, appoint a councillors to sit on the project focus group or the steering group, and seek approval to formally initiate the RMP review as required by the Reserves Act 1977. We'll also be working with iwi to understand their capacity and timeframes in response to the required feedback in this process. We've previously presented to a workshop to council explaining the purpose and process of this review. So I'll seek leave to take the report as read and answer any questions if you have any.
Yeah, thank you, David. Any questions for David in respect of this report? I've got my own suggestions around a couple of councillors I think would be appropriate to appoint, and I've discussed that with those councillors, and they're happy to receive those appointments. And I understand from a few members I've spoken with that seems to be an appropriate way forward. But before I launch into that, I just want to see if there's any general discussion in respect of the report. Mike.
Hey, just to say that it's really exciting. I think it's going to be great for the district to actually see this this facility enhanced, and I really can't wait to see a master plan developed up and to take it from from good to well, from great to even greater, really. So yeah, look forward to seeing what's going to come out of all this in the future.
Thanks, Mike. The two members I've sort of suggested that we look at appointing in respect of this body of work would be Dale Marie, on account of the cultural significance and importance of not only the awa but the surrounds to Mana Whenua iwi, and then also Monty because it's in his patch. So they're comfortable. Don't screw your nose up, Monty. No. It is a great piece of work. It'll be interesting to see how it pans out. There's a lot of stuff to go on in the background, obviously, but my understanding is that those two councillors are happy with taking on those roles, and they're Any conversation or discussion to be had around that? No? We're all happy with that? Okay. Any other? Philip?
Just on that, Madam Chair, thanks for your report. Andrew Myers is going to be the representative for the community board as well.
Great, thanks for that. Wonderful. Okay, that being the case, I'm taking this to be no further discussion. Obviously, on page 258, we have a recommendation not only to receive David's report, but to endorse the plan review and process as set out in that document, endorse the scope, approving a formal notification of our intention to review the domain plan, and then appointing, if we can insert there, councillors Dale-Marie Morgan and Mike Montgomery, that would be wonderful. So I'm happy to move that from the chair. Do I have anybody happy to second? Mike Pettit, you'll second that for me. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Very good. Thanks very much, David. Look forward to receiving your updates on that one. Okay, moving on then next to tab 10, appearing on page, commencing on page 272. We have our next item, which is the representation review final proposal. Ken, the floor is yours.
Your Worship, I'll just give Liz a moment to come back in.
Sweet, great. Thanks for the island as well. The island is starting. People like you.
Oh, is she? Oh, she's on the telephone.
She's on the phone. That's
yeah.
easy, right?
Well, maybe we should just let's. Did she sound like she was?
Yeah, I can hear her, but. Here she is. She's coming.
Sorry. Excellent. So the floor is yours, Ken, in respect of this matter.
Sorry, you can put that in. Yes, okay, thank you, Your Worship. So look, I'll be brief in regard to this, and yeah, there is a map appearing on screen that I'll speak to in a moment. But yeah, look, this report seeks the adoption of Council's final proposal for its representation structure, as was agreed by the Finance and Corporate Committee on the 25th of September. After hearings, and yeah, those hearings involved 109 submitters, with 7 of those submitters heard. In regard to this final proposal, there is a need for a minor boundary change to the Te Awamutu and Kiiki General Ward to ensure compliance with the plus or minus 10% rule. And the particular piece of land or mesh block, census mesh block that is affected is the one that is up on the screen and circled by the red line. So what that is Frontier Estate. So obviously a significant subdivision, and that is moving out of what is currently the rural ward, the Pirongia and Kakapuku ward, into the Te Amutu and Ki General Ward. Okay, so yeah, as you can see already, actually from that aerial photo, yeah, that land has certainly changed in nature. And look, it's you know, in some ways that's a no-brainer that land coming into the urban ward, because it is very, very, very quickly becoming urban in nature. The reason though that we are making that change is to make the plus or minus 10% work. With that land coming over, we are fully compliant with those rules. Yeah, so other than that, that boundary adjustment and the Finance and Corporate Committee's decision to open up councillor appointees to the community boards to be either urban, rural or Māori ward. Yeah, other than that, what we are reconfirming today, if you confirm this final proposal, is the existing structure with just those two changes, the community board appointees and yeah, and the change of ward for Frontier Estate.
Thanks, Ken. There's a lot of nodding going on. Any questions of Ken in respect of this report? Roger.
I'd just like to endorse it. I think it makes a lot of sense, that move, and it brings us into compliance, which is good. Yeah.
It's good, it's compliant, absolutely. Oh, and we have Stephen Hill online, should we require him?
May I ask
Roger.
another question? This still has to go to the Commissioner because there is a change. Even though it's a minor change, it still has to go to the Commission for approval.
No, so not necessarily. So this final proposal, when adopted, it needs to be advertised. So there needs to be public notification of this.
Yeah.
If there are any objections from a member of the public, then it would go to the Commission for final determination. So this is your last chance to to actually modify this. Yeah, after this, if there is an objection, then it would go to the Commissioner. Yeah.
I'm happy to move.
Oh, you're going to move those, quite a number of them, and well, hold on, and Philip will second those. But before I put the motion, Monty, did you have something you want to say?
I was trying to move or second it as well, but I'll just make a comment. I'm really happy with where we've landed on this, and I'm also happy with the process we've been through. I think it's been really good. I've said this before, that we have an expectation upon Steph that she is always re-examining the organisation to make sure it's fit for purpose and optimised. And I think doing that for ourselves around this table, how we represent the district, is it's been a really good thing to do, and I'm happy with the way we've landed. So I missed out on firsting it or seconding it. But
no. Excellent. Any further discussion in respect of this paper and the rep review? Obviously, it's territory well canvassed at our recent Finance and Corporate meeting. Obviously, at the time, we all expressed some reservations in part, I guess, about the proposal and potential perceived reduction of rural voice, which I sort of shared some reservations. But look, I took some heart from our discussions that there was an acceptance or an acknowledgement that people in our district do deserve excellent best practice governance, and I'm quite keen that we hold each other to displaying that at least for the remainder of this training. Roger.
And just a point of interest, Madam Chair, the SA1 definition of the census has just come out, and that makes interesting reading, and it shows, as against the first report of the census, which showed a kind of a drop, which nobody could understand. The second report of the census of normally resident people has actually shown continued growth of the region. So that's just a point of interest on that.
Thanks, Roger.
I've been speaking with David Totman about that, and we'd like to distribute it to the rest of council just to show what those figures do show.
That's your favourite specialist subject, isn't it? You must get so excited when censuses come out, Roger.
Look, I just...
It's like Christmas. It's all as Christmas as it come at once.
Way! Give me a census
Excellent.
any day.
Yeah, wonderful. So I've got a mover and a seconder. There being no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Thank you very much, Stephen. We didn't need your wisdom after all, but nice to see you all the same.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Our next item appearing on our agenda is a Reserves Act item, exercise of delegated ministerial power. Again, these are items that we have already seen, but good morning. Nice to see you, Angela.
Good morning, Your Worship. Good morning, councillors. Yeah, as is always the case with some of these, they have to come through once again to seek ministerial consent. So this is in relation to 4 community leases that were approved at the Finance and Corporate Committee meeting last week on the 15th of October. So happy to take report as read.
Yeah, thank you for that. That made abundant sense given that they flew through at the rate of knots. Dale-Marie, did you have something you wanted to raise? Go for it.
Tēnā koutou. Just noting and seeing where the rowing club is, Te Mana Visions, do they have a lease out there or do they have any kind of arrangement? Te Mana Visions, the 2 waka that sit out there?
Yeah, they do have an arrangement. I believe it's in relation to a storage shed that there is leased to a couple of different groups, but I can certainly look into that for you and get back to you. I don't want to give you the wrong information, but certainly they're on my leasing list with something out there. Okay.
Thanks, Angela. Lou.
I'll just be very, very supportive of the one at 420 Albert Park. That will actually tidy up what has been quite a messy issue down there. That we didn't know who owned it or who leased it. And we had a situation where community cadets, a hot rod club, and everybody were actually coming to me and asking who and what they could actually do. So this will actually sort this whole issue out first, for a lengthy period of time. So very supportive of and the work that you did. But, I know there's a lot of background work that went in. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Lou. Andrew, you're going to move that? I'm happy to second it from the chair. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. Fantastic. Thanks very much, Angela. And yeah, great work.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, the next 4 items are in our public excluded session. So there is a table there setting out the reasons for public exclusion appearing on page 348 of our and 349 of our agenda pack. I'm comfortable that there are appropriate grounds upon which to move into public exclusion given the nature of those items. So I will move that from the chair. Lou will second that. Or did you have opposition? You're fine, Philip? Fantastic. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against?
Right.